My role in St. Louis civil rights, I call myself the sixth player. So I am willing to do whatever it takes to help people understand what we're going through here, what helps the Black community here. So if it's organizing, if it's creating flyers, if it's taking photos, if it's videography, if it's leading, if it's showing up to a protest and live streaming, I literally will play any role that it takes to just help Black folks feel a little bit more free. Ohun Ashe is actually from a Yoruba tribe in Africa, which means the voice. I found my voice on August 9th, 2014, when Michael Brown was killed by Officer Darren Wilson. I grew up in Jennings, which is right next door to Ferguson, so it felt very real for me. West Florissant and Canfield were all places that I was really familiar with. Hearing about this young guy whose body laid in the street for 4.5 hours, and that wasn't okay. I just started to see how police were reacting to a community that was hurting, and I felt like it wasn't right. I got my undergraduate degree from Southeast Missouri State in journalism and videography, so I always had that passion of telling stories. I went to Lindenwood University and got my master's in digital and multimedia studies. When I first went out into Ferguson, I thought it was important to document what was going on. I can have people on live stream, on Facebook Live, watching and tuning in right then and there. I'm a videographer and I'm a photographer, so I tried to hide behind that lens. But after a while, I felt like it was very important to speak up and say what was on my mind and my heart. And people started to listen, and I realized that we don't have to be a perfect person to have a voice. You just have to be genuine. I had my camera in hand and I was just getting videos and photos of what was going on when I noticed a man on crutches, and they made a circle around him. They were arresting him. So I stood there along with CNN, MSNBC.
I'm not disturbing anything at all. I'm not disturbing anything. It's my right.
They grabbed all of us. I want to say it was around 3 or 4 journalists at that moment that was swept up, that was recording. They put us in the back of a police van, and it was extremely hot, and they left us back there for about an hour. My first time ever being arrested. So that is what pushed me into realizing that something is wrong with this system and we have to change it. So that background of videography is literally what got me into activism, because it was a story to be told. The role of a modern day civil rights leader, I believe, is to just be genuine in whatever your passion is. Sharing stories was my true passion. So when I went out into Ferguson, when I helped organize, what I was really doing was telling the story of the people in St. Louis and why these injustices was so important to us. What we can't have is thinking that everybody has to be Martin Luther King or Malcolm X. We don't have to have these big names. You can be somebody that only impacts a few people and still have a role.
We must love and support each other.
Ferguson really gave me a family. Really start to take care of each other, and you really start to look out for each other. And it just gave me a family of people that from all different walks of life, and we're doing something together to make a difference. I frequent where Michael Brown was killed. For me, that is ground zero. That is the reminder of why I am a part of the movement.
So we're going to stay out there and meet us out here on the corner, because it's whose street? Our street. Whose street? Our street. Whose street? Our street.
In 2017, Jason Stockley was an officer on trial for the murder of Anthony Lamar Smith back in 2011. It kind of felt like he would get set free. We wanted to be organized before the verdict even came out. Anthony Lamar Smith was not pictured to be that perfect person that we believe we have to fight for, and I think that's what made me step up more to say that, hey, none of us are perfect and our lives still matter. So that's when I got into more of the organizing. I made the flyers. I was live streaming during the protest, literally 24/7 a day. after the Jason Stockley protests, I really cared about Black businesses, promoting Black businesses. So I came up with a website called fortheculturestl.com, which promotes the community in St. Louis. ForTheCultureSTL.com has been seen in all 50 states. It has been seen in all 7 continents. And I just really think that it speaks to the need to advocate for Black businesses. A lot of times I look at Michael Brown from what stemmed from what happened in that moment between him and Darren Wilson. We were these people before, but had that not happened, we may never have activated the powers that we have. Because all it is just being that little superhero for yourself, for the people around you, and really tapping into that.
I said we had nothing to lose but our chains.
And I feel like had that tragedy not happened, I don't know if I would be this person today.